Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Forecast. I'm StormTracker8 forecaster Tyler Hull here. We got another busy weekend in store for us, and I'm joined this afternoon by our chief meteorologist, Matt DiNardo. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. You know, before we were getting everything going, you and I, we had on a TV in the Weather Center, had golf on from Torrey Pines, and I said to you, why can't we have that weather here?
Yeah, wishful thinking.
Right, for sure. Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, we're talking about a lot today, obviously, with another weekend storm set to impact Central Virginia. And again, this one's going to be different. This is going to be an all-snow event. We're not going to be dealing with sleet and freezing rain, so that's a little bit of good news there. So want to get into the key points of what we're going to be talking about on this Friday afternoon. So three big topics. Obviously, the winter storm. The winds that are going to be associated with this developing system and strengthening system over the course of the weekend. And then on top of that, tidal flooding, which is going to be a huge issue down in the Hampton Roads region.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much any of our tidal rivers are going to get affected by this, and some at varying amounts. And we'll show that, you know, because, I mean, people think, well, I'm only worried about the water in summertime, but really not,
Right.
because some of this water will rush all the way up to Claremont, which is prone to flooding. Even a couple of weeks ago, we had a pretty big event, and I think it was just before Thanksgiving, so a little bit more than a couple weeks ago, and that was a big issue there. So, again, we're watching all of our coastal communities.
Yeah, and even up into the Northern Neck area as well. We'll be watching that. So let's get into the winter storm here. So, again, this is our latest snow forecast here, again, starting Saturday morning into Sunday morning. It's taking a little bit of time to advance the graphics here.
That
just
iPad
like
is fighting with you. It happened to me yesterday, you know. So
here we go.
There you go. Okay.
Oh, no.
Just
Oh, geez.
it's always fun. So the best way to do it is to just stop the sequence and
That's what I'm trying to do here.
and then just highlight that one.
My goodness, it went.
All right, so we got.
haywire.
There we go. Okay, so here's kind of the overall story. Yesterday, Tyler and I were on. We were talking about snowfall in Central Virginia, and we had a map that had 2 to 4 inches over Richmond to Ashland to Petersburg. 4 to 8 was south of Petersburg. And the one thing we kept saying was that the models kept trending south and slightly east with their moisture with the development of the storm. And last night, that continued. And looking at a lot of data last night before I made these changes, not only is the storm sliding southward, but the storm itself being so strong is going to develop. We'll talk about the winds later. Not only winds at the surface, but aloft. And that's going to bring in drier, colder air. So there's going to be a wall in Central Virginia where that moisture is not going to get through. And we think that line is going to be right across Metro Richmond, and points north may not really see a whole lot. Now, Tyler, I'm going to say this straight up. I mean, we had this forecast 11 p.m. last night, this morning GMR, you today. We're going to continue the same forecast. If this storm shifts 50 miles north, that 4 to 8 in Emporia is on the edge of Petersburg and pushing into Richmond. So, I mean, this is a real tight forecast. Now, past couple of days, done some model dives. I don't mean to monopolize the time here. We're not going to model dive today. If you want to go look at them, you will see that all the models even have a little bit less moisture than what we're going for. We're just being careful and cautious. We don't want to wipe things out because, again, little jogs are going to be a big difference.
Yeah, and I was saying it to you before we started this podcast show today. It's incredible what has happened in some of the models the past couple of days with the downward trend in the liquid equivalency, one of the factors that we look at when it comes to snowfall forecasts. So, again, light accumulations are on the table here. But as Matt said, if this were to shift 50 miles to the north, we could be looking at a completely different map here than what we're showing.
Yeah.
Now, we are dealing with, obviously, some winter weather alerts associated with this, right? We've been under a winter storm watch for a little while now. That includes, looks like, all of most of Metro Richmond, eastern Hanover County, all of Henrico County, the city of Richmond, Chesterfield County, the Tri-Cities, under that medium blue color, so winter storm watch. And the areas that are kind of, again, the jackpot areas for seeing the most snow out of this particular situation that we have been talking about are under that winter storm warning, Matt.
Right, and those are the areas that we have either 4 to 8, or as you go down to Norfolk, 8 plus, right? So a little bit south and east of that. And the watch, let's just to make people understand, in Virginia, by the National Weather Service in Wakefield, if they are forecasting 4 or more inches, they go to a warning. If it's less than that, it's an advisory. But the reason why they're holding the watch right now is they're still deciding which way to go based on the latest model trends. My guess is, looking at all the models and everything, they're probably going to trend down to a winter weather advisory for everything that's under the watch right now.
Yeah,
but
that
again,
makes sense.
Really close call for some areas. And when we showed that snowfall map, look, I mean, 2 to 4 inches in Petersburg, Dinwiddie County, Nottoway County. That's nothing to sneeze at, especially on top of the ice that we have out there. Way to go back there, Ty. Thanks. And this is one of those things. I mean, so we have a mess out there, and a lot of our back roads, our neighborhood streets. And you're going to add more insult to injury. The first thing that's going to have to be taken care of again is the highways, the interstate. And one thing to talk about, Tyler. It's been really cold, as we know. Our roads are completely frozen. So as soon as this snow starts to fall, there's not going to be a melting. It's just going to start sticking right away.
Yeah, it is. So we're going to talk about this now, the overall timeline. We could be seeing some flurries this evening, heading into the late evening hours. That is really not going to do much because right now we're just incredibly dry outside. So that initial, snow that is going to be happening this evening and tonight is going to be evaporating before it hits the surface. So again, some flurries are going to be possible this evening and late this evening. And then we get into Saturday morning, as we'll show later. We're going to start to see some light snow, some steady or moderate snow possible across the area. For Virginia, but also for North Carolina. North Carolina could be in for quite a bit of snow this particular go-around.
Yeah, this is an amazing storm because usually you don't think of North Carolina getting snow, but the way this is set up, the way the Arctic air is in here, we have this incredible amount of snow. Some places in North Carolina could see well over a foot. But as you mentioned, tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., light and steady snow working its way from North Carolina into Virginia, and then that snow continues into Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, and that'll continue into Saturday night and very early Sunday morning. It'll be wrapping up all together and continuing to strengthen and eventually going out to sea altogether. So big picture of things shows this low pressure over the southeast, and we do have a little bit of a impulse right now in the eastern Kentucky, western Virginia area, Matt, and that's dropping some flurries to western parts of the state right now.
Yeah, a little bit of light snow showers and flurries, maybe out there, maybe coating the ground just a bit.
Yeah.
And that's the little weather impulse that might reach Farmville, maybe west of 95 later this evening to give us those flurries. But that's really not the main action with this storm.
Right. So, again, possible flurries this evening and late this evening, but really tomorrow morning it gets going. So, we'll walk you through this Futurecast model here. So, again, heading into the overnight period into Saturday morning, this system is going to be deepening and getting stronger. As we showed you in previous days, the low pressure itself is going to drop pressure-wise. Anytime you see a drop in pressure, that means obviously it's strengthening. But the big story on top of the snow is going to be the winds here, Matt.
Yeah, and you look at those arrows coming down right out of the north. This is a little bit what I was talking about earlier. As this storm strengthens, those arrows are going to get tighter, and there's going to be more of them showing the increased wind speed. And so that's going to bring in that dry air. That's why there's such a hard cutoff just at or maybe north of Richmond. And that's going to be the real factor, right? So this storm, almost takes that perfect track up over Cape Hatteras. But look at this. Already, here we are, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, now 8 o'clock on Sunday. All the snow is departing, but look at those winds. Those winds are going to be howling this weekend.
Yeah, they are. And we're going to get into that now, the wind part of this forecast. So, yeah, winds Saturday afternoon through Sunday afternoon going to be howling at times, particularly at the coast.
Yeah, I mean, look, just watch the numbers here, folks. I mean, you're looking at, okay, nothing too exciting early in the day, winds along the coast. So the boxes are this, right? So the white boxes, black numbers, those are your sustained winds. The blue boxes, white numbers, those are your gusts. So sustained and gusts, that's what we're looking at here. And so you look at, Richmond 14, 25, you see the numbers going there. Look at the coast right now, 55, 56 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And easily, as you work your way from Kilmarnock to Richmond to West Point, we're 30 to 40 miles per hour. I mean, these winds are raging into Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, Sunday morning. Finally, as the storm pulls away late Sunday, you'll start to see the winds relax. But, I mean, boy, not anytime soon. And the winds could be the reason why we have sporadic power outages. As you mentioned at the top, Tyler, this is a powdery snow. There's no sleet. There's no freezing rain, so there's no ice accumulation, but winds could cause some sporadic power outages.
Yeah, and I could see more of a power outage problem for Hampton Roads, where they're going to see those screaming winds of 50, 55 plus.
And by the way, speaking of Hampton Roads, just hold before we go too far here, because this is really important we're going to get to. There is a good chance, because of the strong winds, that we might see a blizzard warning issued for Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads area, maybe the Eastern Shore. So the blizzard has nothing to do with the amount of snow.
Right.
It has to do with two criteria. One, you have sustained winds of 35 miles per hour or more for 3 consecutive hours. And during those same 3 consecutive hours, you have reduced visibilities of a quarter mile or less. That's blizzard criteria. Back in the old days, there used to have to be 10 degrees Fahrenheit or colder. It had to do with the amount of snow. That's all been wiped out. It's about visibility and winds. And the last time a blizzard warning was issued for the Eastern Shore was 2020. Before that, Virginia Beach area, 2018. So it's not like every day blizzard warnings are issued in the Commonwealth.
Right. No, that would be certainly a rarity, but that is something we're watching. Currently, there's no blizzard warnings in effect right now, but that's not to say that we could get those issued this evening. So we'll be watching that. So what you're looking at right now is forecasted temperatures and then the forecasted wind chill. The feels like factor when you tack on some winds there. So for the rest of today, middle to upper 20s. So cold out there. We're really not going to get any melting of the snow and ice. Tomorrow morning, down near 10, feeling like 0 here, Matt. And then throughout the day on Saturday, we're really struggling temperature-wise.
Yeah, I mean, 20-ish, maybe a degree or two warmer than that, but those wind chills in the single digits. And then this is the real thing here. We get into Saturday night, early Sunday. Wind chills across the Commonwealth will be below 0, minimally 5 below, possibly some spots as cold as 15 below. And that is really bone-chilling stuff. If you're heading out to church services on Sunday morning, if they happen to not be canceled, you really got to bundle up to head out for sure.
Yeah, Saturday night, Sunday morning, going to be extremely cold out there. So big heads up on that part of the story. And another part of the story here is the tidal flooding associated with this winter storm that we're tracking this weekend, Matt.
This is going to be interesting because this all has to do with the way the winds bank up. That's going to move the water throughout the Chesapeake Bay and our tidal rivers. And a lot of our coastal communities could be inundated with flooding. I mentioned at the top, we've got to watch areas like Claremont and to the James. That's an area that often gets flooded.
Yeah, we have some river level graphics here that'll go through that. So currently we're not dealing with any issues, right, along the James and the Potomac River, the Chesapeake Bay. But as we get into the weekend, we're going to start to deal with some issues, water issues related to this, again, deepening and strengthening low pressure because of the counterclockwise flow of it. We're going to see water out of the Chesapeake Bay, moving out of the Chesapeake Bay, I should say.
And this is an interesting one that you just showed there because when the winds turn northerly, they're not so effective, but when the winds turn northwesterly, it's going to push the water out of the the Potomac past Louisetta, and that's going to give them actually some low. That's why you didn't see yellows. There we go. This is really interesting. So think about the water coming out of the Potomac toward the Chesapeake Bay on those strong northwest winds. When those northwest winds relax, the water's going to slosh back, so that could cause some issues down the road, maybe Sunday night, Mondays, that water comes back. Just something to think about here. These are more impressive, though.
Yeah, the York River in the West Point area and also the Rare River. Currently right now they're fine, running about 1.6 to 2.3 feet. Respectively, but they are going to go up considerably to minor river flooding stage over the course of this weekend.
And again, anything that's low-lying water areas, low docks, etc. This most people have pulled their boats out of the river a long time ago, right? We're not in boating season, so you don't have to worry about that. But docks could be susceptible to getting flooded and maybe breaking apart with this type of weather.
Right, and there's a couple of additional river level forecast graphics here. So James River down between Claremont and Williamsburg, and also the Chesapeake Bay near Yorktown. Again, right now, not an issue whatsoever, but as we get into the weekend and again deal with this deepening low pressure, this strengthening winter storm that's going to bring incredible winds along the coast. And for us here in Central Virginia, we are going to see a pretty good rise here, Matt, for these particular locations as well.
Yeah, both these right now forecasted to go into action stage, which you see there is 3.9 for the James River, Chesapeake Bay at 4.4. But just notice real quick there, look at the guide. 4 is minor at the James River, 4.5 is minor at the Chesapeake Bay, then moderate is not much more. And I expect that as the storm gets going, we might see even additional forecasts that show a higher crest. So I would expect minor to maybe moderate flooding is a possibility in these areas. They're always watching these areas.
Yeah, and we have another one here at a couple of locations. So the Pagan River, this is down near the Hampton Roads area. Couple locations basically on either side of Newport News, and these are going to go to moderate flood stage.
Right, and the question will be, will this, again, if we're expecting others to crest, will this crest even more and possibly put it into major? That's something we're going to have to look at. But look at the numbers, right? 0.66 right now. It's going to rise 3.5 feet for the Pagan River at Smithfield Station, and then you look at the James River at Sewell's Point. It's 2.5 right now, going to rise to 5.5. So these are 3-foot plus movements of water. That's a lot of water moving.
Yeah, it is, and water is powerful, right? So that is going to do some damage down there. That's for sure, particularly along the coast. So we get to the 8-day here. So the rest of today, increasing clouds, cold temperatures. Could see some flurries tonight. We have that Viper alert that we've had in place now for the week, for the snow, and also for the howling winds this weekend. And then Monday and Tuesday, Matt, we will see some pretty good melting of that snow and ice that's been on the ground, but also what we're going to get this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the melting, during the daytime, but unfortunately, we look at our overnight lows there, 19 and 23. So what melts, some of that's going to refreeze again. And then, Tyler, I didn't want to get into this, but there's another system. Thankfully, on all of the models we were just looking at, it does look relatively weak. Fingers crossed that it stays that way, because you know what? I think everybody in Central Virginia is going, Uncle, I'm done. I've had enough.
Right. Yeah, there's yet another possibility for maybe another wintry mix middle of next week. But again, as I said on 8 News at noon today, let's just get through this weekend first.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so again, 3 things. Number 1, snow. Number 2, winds and wind chills. Number 3, tidal flooding. There are many moving parts with this system. And, of course, coming up on 8 News at 4, 5, 6, you and I are going to tackle all the facets of this. And plus, we'll wait to see, will that first blizzard warning be issued in 6 years in Virginia? That would be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to be monitoring that closely, and momentarily we'll get back to the forecast. But again, thank you for joining us for another episode of Beyond the Forecast today.